Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Chelsea. Welcome if you're new. I'm really excited for this video because I'm going to be talking about some of my recent reads, a lot of books that I've loved this year so far. I'm going to run through my 5-star reads. I have more than I thought I did. I thought I only had a few. And then I'm going to go through some of my new favorite books that I've been reading in the year 2025. I have had kind of a weird year, just life stuff outside of my control, which has been okay, but in terms of reading, I feel like I've been reading more things. What I'm getting at is I'm not going to go through everything I've read this year so far. I've actually read quite a few. I've read 53 books so far this year, and we are in May. That's kind of crazy. That's pretty good for me. But like I said, I've been reading a little more outside of my comfort zone. I started a little book club with some family members, so that's been interesting because I've been reading a lot of things I would have never picked up. And then I've also had a bunch of new releases that came out that I'm absolutely in love with, and then I've had a bunch of things that I didn't care about. So I'm not going to really go through like my 2-star reads or anything like that. But so far for the year, I am, just to kind of like put a number on it, 3.74 is like my average rating. So that's pretty good. I'm just gonna go on Goodreads and kind of just go through from January and just like go on down. So not all of these are gonna be 5 stars. There's several 4 stars that I just liked a lot. I've been really, really picky with the 5 stars. Oh yay, let's start here. Okay, I have this book, hold on. Yay, Quicksilver. Let me see it. Okay, too close. Okay. I'm sure anyone that cares about fantasy romance recognizes this cover. I was absolutely obsessed with this book. I meant to read it last year, didn't get a chance to. It was like everywhere last year. I did give this 4 stars. I really, really liked it though. I read it over, I want to say like a 72-hour period. Like I read it very quickly. I was just immediately pulled into this world. I've been seeing this book everywhere. I'm so excited that I finally read it and I can be kind of part of the conversation now online. And I've been seeing it like even at Barnes & Noble, it's gotten like released really widespread everywhere. And I know the second book is coming out later this year, which I'm super, super excited about. I know the covers kind of changed too. I saw that the other day. I don't really love the new covers. But you know, who's being picky? I just love this cover so much. I'm not gonna go through I want this to be a very spoiler-free video. So I'm just gonna kind of vaguely say what it's about. It is a fantasy romance. We have a girl that we're following. She gets kind of pulled into this other world with our guy, Kingfisher, who I wasn't too interested in the beginning, but then he grew on me. I just liked the writing style of this book a lot. There was a lot of fun things that were happening. I liked our main character a lot. There was a sweet Onyx, the little fox, was so sweet. There was some interesting world building in this book. I just really, like I said, I got really sucked into it, could not put it down. So 4 stars, Carolee Hart, really good start to the year with this one in January. Okay, my first 5-star book for this year was Beautiful World, Where Are You? By Sally Rooney. I loved this book. I have enjoyed the other books that I've read by Sally Rooney. I've actually never read Normal People. I just watched the show and I really loved it. I should really, really read it. I've liked everything else I've read by her. This one has probably been my favorite so far. Like I said, I haven't read Normal People, so I probably will try to do that at some point this year. I just like the way that she writes. It's contemporary and it's kind of like, not mundane, but it's just kind of like everyday people. We're following 4 people in this book, and they're just kind of going through their lives. And I just love the way that she writes. I was just in tears in a few parts of this book, and it was just really, I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I really ended up liking all the characters in this book, when in the beginning I kind of didn't care for certain ones. But Sally Rooney is just an author. She's become kind of an auto-buy author for me. I'm just always interested in what she has to say, and her books just feel different from other things that I read. So yeah, this one was 5 stars. Okay, so the next two I'm going to talk about, I had 5-star predictions for them. I'm so excited. They're both fantasy romances. I'm going to do the adult fantasy romance first. So I read Iron and Ambers by Helen Schuler. So this is the first book in a new, I believe it's going to be a duology by her. It's set in the same world as The Legends of Thesmar, which is a series that I read last year and really, really enjoyed. I had some ups and downs with it, but every book I did really like. The beginning of it started out strong, and I just loved all of the characters and all of the the side characters were great. The banter between the couple was great. She set up so many great characters that I would read like any story about. So basically, not to give away spoilers for that series either, we're following that main character's sister in this book. And the reason I was super interested in this, I just liked her character a lot. And I saw the little snippets we had with this certain person in the other series. I just also really interested in her being an alchemist, and we in this book are going to like a school setting for alchemy, and it's really intense, and it's different from her sister who was more of a warrior, and there was a lot of action scenes in that other series that I liked a lot too, but this was just an interesting way to tell a fantasy story, and I just was really drawn to Ren, her character, the love story I really liked. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I was just in love with this. The world building, I love this author. She just keeps expanding and adding to this world. It's a story where you're not totally even sure who the villain is, which I like because there were parts of Legends of Thesmar that was a little predictable, but not in a bad way. But I really liked this. I wasn't really sure who to trust. We weren't really sure if like the heads of the school are to be trusted. We didn't know who to trust. And even though I had some issues with like the way it ended, it wasn't even a major cliffhanger. Just like, I don't know if we've actually resolved like the issue. There's still stuff happening and then people leaving, but they're obviously going to come back. But this was a 5-star read for me. I'm so excited. I believe the next one is coming out at some point this year. So I will definitely be reading it like the second it comes out. And then this lovely beauty, Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. I loved this book so much. Okay, so this was also a 5-star read. It is a YA book, and I feel like sometimes I struggle with YA books, but I absolutely loved this story. I loved the way the writer wrote the love story and just both points of view. It was dual POV, both points of view. I just loved the first book. Let me say what it's about. The first book, we have a witch and a witch hunter. And in this world, where she lives, Rune, like witches are condemned and they're seen as evil, and she ends up having somewhat of a romance with the head like witch hunter, but they're both kind of playing each other, which is a really fun dynamic. And I had seen the first book, Heartless Hunter, last year a bunch, and I was putting it off because I just wasn't having any luck with YA fantasy romances. For whatever reason, just wasn't picking the right ones up, even though I loved that concept and it sounded really cool. But then once I read it, I was just totally in love with it. I love our main character. I just felt so much for these two. And in this book, it's a duology. So we wrap everything up in this book. And I'm not going to say everything's like, there is some predictable like stuff that happens in this book. But even throughout, like, I just love the way she writes them getting into certain situations and like their dynamic and their banter and just being like, how are they ever even going to make this work? But like the yearning and the love is so there. And I just loved these characters both so much. It was a great book. I audiobooked most of this too, and it was just such a good experience. I love when I find a good audiobook to read as well. So this was 5 stars. I would say if you like fantasy romance and maybe don't want something too spicy, but you want something that feels not super childish. Like, it still felt fairly adult. It was a pretty mature story. I would give this a try, because I'm definitely going to read anything that she writes ever again, because I really, really love this duology. Okay, I finally picked up Hate by Tate James. I feel like all last year I wanted to get into this series. This wasn't like a 5-star or anything like that. I think I gave the first book actually a 3-star, but other ones in the series were bumped up to a 4. This was just a good time. I had so much fun with this story. I've been really into, we're gonna get to another Why Choose story soon, but I've been really into Why Choose lately. I want to read a bunch of Why Choose stories. This isn't a fantasy, this is set in the real world. It's kind of like a, I don't know, I want to say like mafia biker kind of dynamic. But anyway, the beginning of this book is a girl. She gets sent away because she gets in trouble for something at the very beginning. So she's sent away and she's coming back home, and then the guys who kind of like got her in trouble in the first place are now living in her home. Her dad is kind of like not involved anymore. He is really upset with her, and then like the guys are gonna kind of like just be living there, and she doesn't get why. And she's basically just like gonna make their life a living hell because she doesn't want them living with her anymore. At least that's the setup for the second one. It goes to a lot of wild, crazy places that I'm not even gonna get into. I would say I think I liked the other Why Choose a little better that we're gonna talk about, but this was so fun. I think Madison Kate, Madison Kate is a fun, kind of chaotic character to follow, but like I said, it's super fun. And if you like Why Choose and that, you'll probably really like this. There's another one after this. There's like another series that follows certain characters that were in like the end of the story. So I'd be interested in reading that in the future, but I'm glad that I read all 4 of these. They're all on Kindle Unlimited too. I just happen to have this first book because it's pretty. And yeah, that was really fun. Again, more like a 3-4 star, but still needs to be noted as like a really fun time. Okay, another fantasy romance, Onyx Storm. Ever heard of it? By Rebecca Yarros. I gave this book 4 stars. The more I think about it, it might be more like a 4.5. I don't generally do halvesies. But anyway, I don't know if I've really talked about Fourth Wing much on this channel. It was kind of before I started doing anything like this. I liked the first book. It was more just kind of a fun read. I know some people really like slammed it and hated it. I didn't feel that way. I don't think I took it super seriously. But I did enjoy it. Love the dragons. Loved Heron. Like a lot of the characters, get annoyed by them, but I do enjoy the stakes of the story just in general, and the world building is pretty cool. I really like how she's been developing the story over the few books that we've gotten so far. I was pretty down on Iron Flame. I feel like that's why I didn't really talk about it much last year. I don't really remember. I just don't think I enjoyed that book as much as Fourth Wing, and like I said, I kind of enjoyed Fourth Wing for just being fun. With all that said, backstory. This one I loved. I absolutely loved this book. If the rest of the series is like this, I'm so excited for the next book. First of all, this is beautiful, lovely. I wasn't sure what to expect out of this book. It's kind of the same thing with like movies. I think perception's everything, probably because I was expecting to like not like this book. I didn't even really read it when it immediately came out or anything like that. I just loved it. I was shocked at how much I liked it. I read it so quickly. She's really good at writing and just kind of like, you know, keeping like snowballing all the events and having like a lot of action throughout the story while keep putting in small little tidbits of things that I'm sure will be answered later, but are kind of like what in the moment. I like all of our characters a lot more in this one. I think now that they've had a little room to kind of grow and be fleshed out, at least the ones that are still alive. I'm just really liking the dynamics of a lot of the characters, not just Violet and Xaden. The ending was crazy. I just like in stories, especially fantasies, where they travel around a lot, and this was a fun one. This was a fun one because they go to several isles during like a whole section of this book and meet a lot of new people. a lot of different characters, a lot of different like religions mentioned, and just, yeah, expanding this world and getting more into the history. So much fun. I'm not going to get deeper into it because obviously this is the third book of a series, but I can't wait for the next one, and I'm really excited, and I'm so happy that I liked this. So the next book is another 5-star, and it is a nonfiction book, which I don't read a ton of, but I do like the occasional biography, autobiography, or memoir. So of course, when I heard that Kelly Bishop had a book coming out, it's called The Third Gilmore Girl, I absolutely had to read it. I love Gilmore Girls. Kelly Bishop is a legend, an icon. Loved her. I would have really enjoyed this book even without the Gilmore Girls of it all. I listened to the audiobook, which she is the narrator of, and I just love her. Just her opinions on things, just how she's outspoken in certain things. I learned so much more about her life. I didn't know, I mean, I loved her in Gilmore Girls and some other stuff, but I didn't know like how crazy of a career she's had. I didn't know, you know, about her husband getting ill so many times, and just so many stuff that's happened to her over the years, and just like, oh, just what a crazy life and career, and what just an amazing person she is. I loved it. It's weird to give a nonfiction book. I guess it's weird to give a memoir a star rating, but whatever. I loved it. It was just her life, but if you get a chance to read it, try the audiobook because it's something really special. The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. This was one I actually read for that book club I was talking about. This was my pick a few months ago. This was a new author for me. I wasn't sure I was gonna like this book. I actually ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I mean, it's compared to Narnia a lot. And I like Narnia just fine. But this is more like an adult version. We have 2 characters that were missing when they were kids for several months. And then they come back and they don't know where they were. They have nothing to like say about where they were. They were just missing. They were like teenagers who were missing in West Virginia. So then as adults, they end up, for reasons, needing to go back to wherever they were, which ends up being this kind of magical kingdom, much like Narnia. But I really liked this story. It was so sweet. There was a sweet little romance in there that I wasn't even really expecting when I first started it, but then it made so much sense as I was reading it. I really loved the whimsical nature of this book. There were sections, I think, what were they labeled? They were just like author sections. What were they called? Storyteller Corner. So there were regular chapters, and then there were Storyteller Corner, where kind of the author was like giving you additional insight or explaining why they're like talking about this, or just like giving a separate story that comes to play later on. I also liked there was like a nice sister dynamic at this, and just like a really interesting story that I wasn't expecting to be that into. So I really liked it. This was a 4-star read for me. Yeah, I would definitely recommend this. It was very fun for a book club discussion because a lot of people had a lot of takes. There's a lot of interesting characters in here and some fun stuff. Okay, another 4-star read that I absolutely loved was The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This is such a fun story. This is ice dancers, like figure skaters, and it's kind of a coming of age story, and it's compared to Daisy Jones and the Six a lot. Not because it's like necessarily about the same thing. There's just an aspect of this that's interview style because there's a documentary taking place. So you get all the characters like point of views on a certain thing going on, and they're all kind of different from each other or how they felt about a situation. But the overall book is being told by the main character, Katrina Shaw. And she grew up like, I think in Michigan. She was like not from money, and it's definitely a sport where you need a lot of money to get into. And her love story with her partner, It was just such a fun ride. It was just like drama. I keep telling everybody I know to read this book. It was just fun. I don't want to give anything away, but we just kind of go through the ups and downs of their lives with their like love and their partnership and their like career and everything that's happening. And this documentary kind of gives you that side of like the sensationalism and then just who they are like as people and what was going on. It was just such a fun ride. I don't know anything else about the author. I actually don't know if she's written a lot of things or this was kind of her first thing, but this was so fun. I would just want to read more things by her. And I just like this idea of, having the documentary like series part where the people are being interviewed cut to like the chapter where she's like giving her, 2 cents of what happened. Just because obviously they're not always the same. So that was a 4-star read. I only really knocked it for a couple of reasons. I want to say it might have went on just a little too long for me. There was also one like specific choice that I didn't love. I kind of just didn't love that it was not a dual POV, if that makes any sense. I know we're getting it all from her side, but then we never get to hear from like the male POV, like the male main character, like at all in the story. He's not even part of the documentary part. So it's like, I feel like something was missing there, and I know it was done intentional. I just don't know if I like it. But I overall really enjoyed the book. So that's a 4-star for that one. Okay, getting back to the Why Choose stories. I absolutely became obsessed with Losers by Harley LaRue. Loved it. I read this one. They're on Kindle and I had to get my own copies. Actually, I read this first, The Dare. It's the prequel novella. It's very short. If you're not sure if you like Why Choose, if you're gonna like this dynamic at all, I would read this one first just to see if you like it, because if you like this, you're gonna absolutely love this one. And then there's also Losers. It's just called Part 2. So these are kind of just like, they go together and they're quite long. So if you like The Dare, you'll be in it for these books. So first I'll go over The Dare really quickly. It's what I like about this. So it is a Why Choose story. We are picking up with this group. This is after high school. I feel like it might be the first year after high school. It's a Halloween party. Now, our main character, Jessica, was really awful to these kids in high school. There was a group of just kind of losers, just kind of nobody, misfit, weird kids that everyone was mean to. And when I say like she was awful to them, I don't mean like she was friends with people that were mean to them. I mean like she actively bullied them and went out of her way to bully them. She got one of them expelled, or she was part of the reason he got expelled from high school. So they hadn't seen each other, in a while. And she ends up going to this party. He's also there. And they play beer pong, and she loses this bet. She loses beer pong basically, and they make this bet that she's going to be his slave for the rest of the evening. And we get a little bit of the other characters that are in Losers, because they are a group. We get a little bit of them in this book too, but they're obviously much more in these other ones. I just loved these characters. I literally put this down and like had to start The Dare again. I just loved all of these characters, even the ones I didn't think I was gonna like. I really liked, like I said, I just really liked that something about her being the bully and having to like come to terms with who she is, apologize for the stuff that she's done, but also kind of realize and admit like she's one of the freaks, really. She's been kind of like pretending to be this person, this popular person that she's not, and now we're way after school. So The Dare takes place when she's in college, but Losers start up after she goes home after graduating, and she's trying to make like her life and career work because there's some stuff going on like with her family, and she just doesn't want to really be there anymore. And her mom's just really like too much. And so when she runs into the guys at the beginning of that book, something happens to her car and their mechanics. So again, it's kind of this bargain that they come up with again, that she's sort of gonna have to be their slave in exchange for them working on her car. And it's supposed to be like, once the car is fixed, then she can leave and it doesn't matter. But she really forms like a relationship with these guys. They all also have more of relationships like with each other, and there's dynamics there that was really fun to read about. And I just really liked it. I really liked this writing style. I really enjoyed all the characters, like I said. I think I gave the series as a whole like 4 stars, but honestly, I think about it all the freaking time. Like I said, if you read this one and like it, you'll probably like the other ones too. I guess I'm just in my Why Choose era. I'm just obsessed, and this was this has been on my list for like a couple years now, and I'm so glad I finally read them, and I'm so glad I found these books at like secondhand stores, and then this last one was on Pango for like super cheap. So I'm so excited that I own them too, just because I love these characters. Okay, we're about to end this book on a banger, because this book, it's beautiful, beautiful book. Look at this, and look at this. I thought this book was gonna destroy me. I absolutely love this book. This might be my favorite book of the year. The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. I love Jessa Hastings. If you have not read the Magnolia Parks series, do it. It's so great. This is not really, it's in the same worlds, but it's not like following those characters. There's a couple name drops at points. Just because our main character she lives in London now, but she goes back to her family because there was a death in her family, and she has to go back to South Carolina to go to the funeral and deal with her family. And there's just a lot of craziness, a lot of emotional stuff in there. I really felt for this character. I loved this book. I just love the way she writes, and how she tells a story. I love Sam Penny. His name is ridiculous, and I love him. So like I said, she goes back. Her family is kind of the worst. So her father has died, mother's not great, sister's appalling. She has a really good relationship with one of her brothers, and then she has another brother that they make way in this book. But her one brother is coming also from LA to the funeral, and her and this brother Oliver they were kind of not treated the same when they were younger, and a lot of like stuff happened. I'm not going to get into any of that, but anyway, he's an addict, so he brings his like AA sponsor with him, who is Sam Penny, and he's Australian, and he's extremely hot. So there's just an attraction from the beginning with this person, but obviously it's like a line she doesn't want to cross, just because, you know, the relationship with her brother and his sobriety is really important, and to like ruin this relationship with the sponsor by her getting involved is gonna be tricky and messy. And this whole book is super messy, and in just like the best way. It's very like realistic people, realistic situations, awful family stuff. But I loved it. It was really hard to put down. It was just so great. I love her writing. I really want to reread all the Magnolia Parks. I don't know when the next one in that is coming out. There's going to be another Daisy Hates book at some point. But this was so great. And yeah, 5 stars. I don't know what else I want to say about it. I liked our main character a lot. She was Georgia. She was very cool. Very, she reacted to things the way I feel like I would have reacted to things. Sam Penny's great. She does this very cool like thing where she can read people. It's very interesting how it's written about, but she can kind of tell your facial expressions and like nonverbal communication like type thing, to tell like if you're lying and like what type of like person you are just by those things. It's very, very cool. But I absolutely loved it. It was so sweet, so intense. I thought it was gonna like, I don't know, ruin me, because I had heard it's kind of crazy, but I just ended up being absolutely obsessed with it, and I just loved it. So I'm so glad we ended it with this one though, because this might be, it's definitely a 5-star. It might be my favorite book of the year so far. It's not even a fantasy romance. I don't even know, but Jessa Hastings, man. Love her. So that is this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Feel free to leave in the comments any of the 5-star reads that you've read so far this year. I'm always interested in adding more to my TBR. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.